The talking points memo this evening is about the dismissal of Jimmy Kimmel. I knew this was coming. I'm going to play you a soundbite in a couple of minutes where I mentioned it in July because the late night comedians, particularly Colbert and Kimmel, got sucked into a swamp of hate Trump. Hating Trump isn't funny. It's not entertaining. You can't make a song about it. There's nothing other than vitriolic politics involved with hating Trump. Nothing. So if you are on an entertainment program like the late nights, and all you're doing is hating on the president and then hating the people who support the president, 77 million of them, you're not on the right road. You're not on the road to success. You don't have to pander, but you don't have to be obsessed. And Jimmy Kimmel became obsessed with Donald Trump. Donald Trump destroyed Jimmy Kimmel's career. He may resurrect somewhere else, but to lose that perch, to lose that job is a big one. Now, it all happened because Kimmel said something tremendously inappropriate on Monday night. Nation is still very raw over the murder of Charlie Kirk, and here's what Kimmel said.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Okay, the assassin of Charlie Kirk had nothing to do with MAGA. Okay, and so to say that that is in play was just an untruth. All right. Now, why did he do it? The guy's got 10 writers, he's got producers, and nobody said to him, hey, Jim, this might be inappropriate. And the reason maybe they did, I don't know, but he didn't listen. And he didn't listen because he's consumed with partisan politics. Jimmy Kimmel has not put on a conservative pundit or voice the whole year. He's like Colbert. The only voice that wasn't liberal on Colbert's show this entire year was Liz Cheney, who hates Trump. Same thing with The View. We went over that yesterday. None. It's a total blackout of traditional and conservative voices on ABC, NBC, CBS. Total blackout. That is the story. That's Putin stuff. That's China stuff, totalitarian stuff. You cannot be heard if you don't toe the liberal line. Now, I talked about this in July, okay? And here's what I said. Go. Now, I think this is a bigger story than Stephen Colbert. And I predicted, as you know, that Colbert would go. And there are going to be some people on The View that are going to go. And Kimmel, possible. Now, nothing has happened on The View, but I suspect it will. So what really happened? So I got a call from a very powerful television executive yesterday afternoon after we taped this program. And he said there's a revolt among the station groups. That means that ABC owns some of the affiliates, but the others are owned by other corporations, like Nexstar, like Sinclair. They own the stations outright and they buy ABC's product. A number of them, led by Nexstar, said to ABC in Burbank, California, Bob Iger, CEO, we're not taking Kimmel anymore. The outrage over what he said on Monday and all of the other censorship that he does, hate Trump stuff that he does, we're not taking it anymore. Disney panicked, okay? Absolute panic. And had to get out in front of it because they were going to lose 30, 40 affiliates who were going to fire Kimmel themselves. So Disney says, we'll fire him too. That's corporate America. That's what corporate America does, always folds. Always, 100% of the time. And Kimmel then, by all accounts, was surprised. I don't know why he would be surprised. I mean, come on. You can't say on your program that MAGA people are somewhat responsible for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That's defamatory. It's a lie. it's not even close to being funny. What the deuce are you doing? There is a responsibility. In addition, the government licenses ABC, CBS, and NBC. Let me explain this. When television was first invented in the late 1940s, the airwaves were public. And the three networks said, well, we have television, we want to broadcast over the airwaves. The government said, okay, but you have to get a license and you have to live up to some standards. You can't say the F word. You can't have naked people running around. So we'll give you the license, but you got to obey the rules because it's free. The airwaves are owned by the people, the American people. It's free. So the networks have to comply with the federal government. Not cable, because you pay for cable. Not social media, because you pay for social media. We don't have to comply with anything. We can get in trouble, we can hold it to court, but no government regulates. But they do regulate the networks. Cold and flu season coming on up. We all know it. And it really is nothing to take lightly. So when people start getting sick all across the country, medications disappear. Everybody wants it at the same time. So it's very, very smart to have a pharmacy you can count on, like All Family Pharmacy. Right now, they're helping Americans get ahead of the curve with 10% off antibiotics, antivirals, other essentials. You know how important it is to have the right meds when you get sick, particularly when your kids get sick. You don't want to be going into the doctor's office, spending all the time. You want to have them at your home. So if you have a few months' supply, you don't have to worry. And that's what we're doing here. If you believe in medical freedom, okay, and taking care of your family, as I do, this is the pharmacy for you. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. The FCC now, controlled by the Trump administration, is horrified by the total blackout of any conservative voice. It's horrifying, and they hate Trump stuff. So the head of the FCC is Brendan Carr. Here's what he said.
There's calls for Kimmel to be fired. I think, you could certainly see a path forward for suspension over this. And again, the FCC is going to have remedies that we could look at. And again, we may ultimately be called to be a judge on that.
And that message got across to Disney, okay? And Disney has already had to pay President Trump $16 million because George Stephanopoulos, one of their correspondents, called Trump a rapist. And that's not true. So Disney could see that its whole franchise was going down a drain. The government's coming after them. So Kimmel was the human sacrifice. He got thrown overboard. But there's plenty of reason. On September 2nd, Kimmel was unrelenting. He wouldn't stop. It was every night. I'll just give you one example. Roll September 2nd.
Here's the thing. Donald Trump will never die. Forget it. He's like Dracula. He's going to keep sucking the life out of us forever. There will be no more trans in Transylvania when he is done.
Okay, and that's harmless, but it was every single night competing with Colbert, who can bash Trump the most. And remember, there was no bashing of Biden for 4 years. So this was rank partisanship. Now, it wasn't always so. So I was on the Kimmel program 5 times. I got along very well with him. And he was very nice to me and my staff. We'd go in, his studio is in West Hollywood. We'd have some snacks. He'd come in, a few laughs, give me a sweatshirt, whatever it may be. Saw him at the Emmys, very cordial. I had a very, very good relationship with the man. This was before the rise of Donald Trump. And I'll just give you one taste of it. So on February 10th, 2015, Killing Patton was out, and I was promoting it on Kimmel. Roll it.
One of the things that I have to say knocked me out, and I went crazy telling everyone within earshot, is that Hitler had a condition, I don't know if it's a disease or a condition, called meteorism.
Right.
And what is that?
Flatulence.
Yes, Hitler.
As
if we didn't have enough reasons to dislike this guy. was constantly letting gas.
Well, he had every condition in the world. Evil feeds upon itself, and he was such an evil person that he just consumed from within. But can you imagine in the bunker with Adolf? Can you imagine how that was? Because there were no windows to open. You go out, you get a fresh air, you get a bullet in the head. So it's either Hitler or the bullet.
Maybe that's why he grew the mustache as like a filter, kind of self-defense of some kind.
I never thought of that, but that's possible.
All right, so it was the normal interaction. And let me make one more point. I'm not happy Jimmy Kimmel got fired. And I know a lot of people are, including the president. We'll play you his soundbite in a moment. I was very impressed with Mr. Kimmel because his young son had a very serious medical condition. Kimmel doesn't make a big deal out of it, but Kimmel was a very heroic parent. And I weigh things like that. So I'm not happy about what has happened to him, but I'm confused. I really am. And I got a message to Kimmel, I would say about a year ago, through Adam Carolla, who's friend. He said, look, Jim, why don't you give me a call? Because this isn't going in the right direction for you and your family. Of course, he didn't call. But I would have told him. I said, look, you're getting consumed by hatred. And every human being who's consumed by hatred goes down. Everyone. And that's what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. And that's the memo.